Our next guest today is Chip Polston, who is the Vice President of
Communications, Public Relations, and Social Responsibility.
It's a big responsibility.
So I got a business card that's like that long.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but good to be here with you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you could come out from Louisville today. So, but you know, I am very interested, of course, in the lottery, serving on the lottery board as I do at this time. And I'm always excited about what's going on at the lottery. And so, first of all, though, I thought, Chip, you might be able to give our viewers a little bit of information about the history of the lottery.
Sure. Well, we first started, folks may remember who have been around for a while, it doesn't seem like it's been this long, but it's going on 30 years since Wallace Wilkinson, a political newcomer that nobody had really ever heard of before, decided to run for governor primarily on the platform of creating a state lottery, and he came out of nowhere and did it. He won. So the next year, the General Assembly took up our enabling legislation. We sold our first ticket in April of 1989. So we're 28 years old, which is hard to believe, because I can remember that first day. There was so much excitement that everybody felt like, you know, you needed to go out and at least say you participated on that first day. It was a really neat day. It's hard to imagine that this much water has gone under the bridge since then.
I know. And whoever would have thought that it would have gotten passed. I can remember when that's what Wallace Wilkinson ran on.
Right.
And then when he won the governor's race, then, you know, he was compelled to, and of course the whole reason for it at the time was to fund education.
Right. And it's, people will remember TV commercials that were run back then that showed these bright, smiling little kids' faces in classrooms and said, you know, vote for a lottery and look at all the great things we'll be able to do for education. So it passed, but then when it went to the General Assembly, they didn't feel comfortable at that time dedicating all those proceeds over to primary and secondary education. They didn't know, you got to remember, this was a long time ago. We were an unknown. Kentucky in modern times had never really had a lottery. Nobody knew how well this was going to work out or how well we were going to even be able to do. So they didn't feel comfortable in dedicating that revenue strictly to primary and secondary education. So we became, we swept into the general fund for a long time. That's where we went till we made the transition to where we are now.
Yeah. Well, and of course I get asked that question all the time. Where does the money go?
Right, right.
And recently, you know, or in the last, there's been a lot of, I think, advertising in that regard, which is good because people do need to know where it goes. So perhaps you can explain that.
Well, the amazing thing about it, when you talk about those advertisements that you see now about where proceeds go, for 25 years, Lisa, it was against the law for us to do that. We were the only lottery in the entire country that had what was called a beneficiary advertising restriction. It was offered on as a last-minute floor amendment in the House of Representatives when our enabling legislation was put forth. Again, back to what we talked about earlier, we were an unknown entity. People didn't know what we were going to look like, and they thought, you know, that we may irresponsibly take out very dark and foreboding commercials that said, buy lottery tickets or your kids won't be able to go to school, sort of thing. Well, of course nobody's going to do that, but nobody knew that back then. We had never existed before. So it took 25 years to get that overturned, but finally now we can talk about where our proceeds are going, what we're doing for kids all the way down to the individual county level. It's a great story to tell and one that we're awfully proud of, as you well know.
Right, right. And so I know that our legislators get reports on how much in each county.
Right.
And I suppose you might have brought some information on that today.
I absolutely did. And that's something, that's one of the things I really enjoy doing when I go into a community to talk to a Rotary Club or a Kiwanis Club or do a show like this, is to really let people know what the impact is on their individual community. Because folks a lot of times will look at Louisville or Lexington and Northern Kentucky and think, that's where everything's going through there. But we really have an entry, Lisa, into all 120 counties, and we've been able to impact all 120 counties. When you look at Washington County, just right now, we have, in colleges and universities around Kentucky, just a little bit under 400 kids, 397, are spending $705,000 of lottery proceeds to help them go to college. That's just right now. When you build that back out to 1999, when we first started doing these programs, more than 7,600 kids have been able to split a little over $12 million to be able to go to college. And again, that's just here. The bigger picture is $2.8 billion that we've been able to plug into the economy to send kids to college. 1 in 5 Kentuckians now, Lisa, 1 out of every 5 people in the state of Kentucky has received a lottery-funded college scholarship or grant from us. And it's a great story. It's something we're really happy to tell. And obviously, folks here in Washington County are able to take advantage of it because we've got a lot of kids out there going to college on those dollars right now.
Right, right. And you know, that money is through the Keys Fund, for example. That's part of it.
Right.
And I know I'm fortunate in that 2 of my children got to benefit from that.
Right, right. You know, we're going in a lot of different directions right now. KHEA, the Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority, is the administering agency of our scholarship and grant program, and Keys is the big one that everybody knows about. For a long time, we funded just Keys and 2 need-based programs as well. The General Assembly, going back many years, and really it started a couple governors ago, got into the habit of sweeping some of our funds into the general fund. By statute, 100% of all of our proceeds were supposed to go to these scholarship and grant programs. But they were able to sweep through what's called notwithstanding language, sometimes in the neighborhood of $15, $20 million annually, back into the general fund. I really give this governor credit because he found out about it and said, we're not going to do it. All the proceeds are going to go into programs. And he's expanded the scope of that to where we're not only funding those 3 programs, we're funding several other programs, including a work-ready scholarship program where if you're interested in going to college in Kentucky in one of 5 high-demand fields that the state government identifies every year, there's a really nice pot of money that's waiting there for you. We're even reaching down now, Lisa, to the high school level where we're funding dual credit programs so that kids in high school can take enough classes while they're in high school so that when they get to college, the first semester of their freshman year is pretty much done by the time they hit the front door of the university because they've been able to get credit for what they've done in high school. We're funding that now as well. It's a lot of neat things that are out there, and again, a lot of great stories to tell.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. And not only, as you mentioned, Chip, is it in you know, colleges, it's also able to be used now for vocational programs.
Certificate programs, exactly. Going back into that work-ready scholarship program. Some of those are health-related, where you don't have to have an associate's degree or a 4-year degree. So there's areas that you can use it there. Some of those other work-ready scholarships are there also. The neat thing in particular, Lisa, about that work-ready program is that when people hear scholarship, a lot of times the first image that pops into their head is 18-year-old kid who just graduated from college. You can be any age and get into this program. You can be in your 40s or 50s or older and you want to start a career in one of these high-demand programs. That money is there available for you. So you don't have to be a kid that's shooting straight out of high school going to college. You can be a non-traditional student and be able to access these funds.
Yeah.
The KHEA website, gohigherky.com, is a great resource for folks to be able to check that out for a lot of the different programs we offer. But in particular on that workforce development scholarship, helpwantedky.com is the website to go there. The money is there. The money is now available. You just got to apply for it.
And some of those high demand occupations, I think right now, are like electrician, maybe?
Education. They're looking for teachers. So if it's something as simple as you've always wanted to be a teacher and you want to go back to school to be able to get your degree to do that, we can help you do that. When it gets down into, I think one of the 5 is logistics, which in Kentucky, obviously with their UPS hubs and a lot of materials being moved around, that's a really big deal for folks right now as well. So it doesn't have to be something it can be something if you want to go to Eastern or Western or one of the state schools like that and get a degree, you can. But if it's a certificate program through vocational or a community college even, those funds are available there for you to do it. You don't have to be the kid shooting straight out of high school going to college to access this. We've been able to open the door for a lot of folks to be able to get in on this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad you explained that today. And can you mention again those websites in case?
Sure. The Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority is the group that administers the KEYS program. One of the neat things above and beyond the scholarship, the website rather, part of the KEYS program, every summer, kids, if you're a high school student in Kentucky, you're going to get a letter from the governor. And the governor is going to tell you, based on how you did last year, Here's the funding that's going to be available for you. Now, if you do a little better in school next year, if you take that B- average and maybe bump it up a little bit, here's how much more money you can get. So they're very proactive in pushing that information out to you. But GoHigherKY.com is the website for Keys, CAP, and KTG, the big programs that we fund. And then HelpWantedKY.com is where you can find out about the new workforce development programs that we're working through the Education and Workforce Development Cabinets with.
Great, great. Well, now, Chip, of course, we wouldn't be able to fund these programs unless people were buying lottery tickets.
That's right. That's right. That's what we like. So,
and you know, I know that some people complain that, you know, oh well, the lottery's, you know, a gambling kind of thing, but you are also responsible for the social responsibility
Correct.
part.
Right.
And I think that's an important part of the lottery that we need to explain.
Well, the mantra that we really go by is that we want to sell a few tickets to a lot of people rather than a lot of tickets to a few people. We want folks to be able to have fun. Our games are meant to be fun and exciting. It's a good form of entertainment. But there's a percentage of the population in Kentucky, the last time we were able to look at it through the Legislative Research Commission, is about 1.5%, 2% of the population can or is actually in full-blown having a gambling problem. We have worked diligently with the state over the last several years to try to get awareness, treatment, funding programs like that for the last really 2 decades. We've worked with the State Gambling Council here in Kentucky to try to get some legislation passed to enable us to use part of our proceeds to be able to fund that. But in the absence of that, what we do is we work with the 1-800-GAMBLER program, where if somebody thinks they have a problem or if they know someone who may have a problem and they just want some information about it, you can pick up the phone, talk to a gambling counselor at a treatment facility in Owensboro, Kentucky. They can let you know what the score is and what to look for. A neat component of this, Lisa, that we just started probably about 8 months ago is you can send a text now. If you're younger and you don't like talking on the phone or you're just uncomfortable talking to somebody, you can shoot a text to 1-800-GAMBLER. It again will route to that facility in Owensboro, and somebody will be able to let you know what to be on the lookout for, get you in contact with a GA or Gambling Anonymous chapter that may be in your area so that we can move that person into a support group and into help to try to get them squared away with where they are. But our products, Lisa, as you know, are designed to be fun and entertaining. And when they're not fun anymore, that's where we want to try to help you find the help that you need to get back on track.
Yeah, yeah. And also now, of course, you don't have to go into the store necessarily
Right.
to get your lottery ticket, or to get any of the scratch-off games, and I think all of those are fun myself.
Right.
Of course, now I can't play them.
That's right, that's right. So, but you always enjoy looking at them in the board meetings.
I do.
I get a kick out of watching you watch those. So.
Well, they are meant to be fun and entertaining.
Right.
And, you know, as long as you don't, you know, go overboard,
And
you get
that's the great thing about the internet wagering that we're doing right now.
That's
because we can throttle that. We can limit the amount of, and you know, back to your earlier statement that some folks really look at things as being predatory and problematic. We make sure that our products aren't that way. But when we were looking at selling on the internet, there were a lot of folks that were really worried about what's this going to do for anybody that has a gambling problem. We've designed that site so that you're limited in what you can do there. We can throttle back your play via deposit limits, how much you can put in every day, every month, and every week as well. At retail, we can't control you there. We can't shut you off if we think you're playing too much. On the internet, we can. So in reality, it's, in my view, it's a more responsible way of offering our tickets than we're able to do in the general means. So we're awfully proud of that.
Yes, yes, I'm very impressed with that too. So you only can put so much money in your account, and you can only spend so much per month, and so all of those things are wonderful.
Correct, and it's a way for us to reach folks that maybe aren't playing our games, because again, you know, at the end of the day, we offer games where you try to match numbers and you scratch off latex off of a ticket. That's the same thing we were doing 28 years ago. You're just constantly looking for a way to repackage it and make it fun, fresh, and exciting for players. Being able to offer tickets like this via the internet is a great way to reach folks that we may not have reached before. And what the evidence has been in other countries and in other states, even here in the U.S., is that when you grow those internet sales, you also grow sales at your brick and mortar retailers. Because through the internet, you're reaching people who may not have thought to have gone into a local gas station when they're filling up their tank and maybe getting a $2 scratch-off ticket or a Mega Millions ticket or something like that. When they become comfortable playing on the internet, they then translate that over to activity actually at retailers, so it works out for our brick and mortar retailers as well.
Yeah, and of course, if you win, the retailer gets a percentage.
They get a nice bonus. They do.
Yeah.
We had our first Lucky for Life ticket, winning ticket, that was sold in a small community of Slade, Kentucky, probably about 2 months ago, I guess, and we took a bonus check down there for them. I believe it was for around $74,000 just for this little mom and pop retailer.
Yeah.
And it was a game changer for them.
Yeah.
They were going to invest in the store. They gave money to their local church. They gave their employees bonuses who had worked there with them for a long time. This was something that was really going to change the face of this little mom and pop store that literally, out of the blue, lightning struck one day and they sold this big winning ticket. And it can happen. We see it happen all the time.
Yeah.
But that was a really fun story to really see how, from a retail level, selling one of those big tickets not only gets you the bonus, but lottery players are very superstitious. And if a place sells a big winning ticket, that suddenly gets deemed as the place for a while. So they're going to see their sales go up as well. So not only do they get the bonus, they're going to see a lot more traffic of people wanting to come in and play because they're suddenly deemed as the lucky store that folks want to try to get on a little bit of that mojo with.
Yeah, and so that was the person that got the Lucky for Life.
That was the retailer
Oh,
that got
yeah.
the $74,000.
And then the Lucky for Life winner at that store
Right.
gets
$1,000 a day for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's a great jackpot, isn't
I
it?
thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with that one. We really, really have. The jackpot was claimed. There is a cash option to it. That's a 20-year, basically what you would draw over a 20-year period. The player did decide to go ahead and take the cash option. They wanted that up front. Some folks do that. But we were just excited to have a winner in that, and it's a really cool game and a lot of fun to think about what it would be like if $1,000 a day dropped out of the sky for you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, now that is a multi-state game,
That is
Lucky
correct.
for Life.
Right.
So because we have estates all around us that we do lottery games with.
Correct. Yeah, that's the only reason. When you see Powerball, when it starts at $40 million and it can progress to $1.6 billion like it did last year, there's no way, as much as we would like to here in Kentucky, there's absolutely no way we could ever sustain a game like that. So in order to get those big jackpots for folks to play for that they really enjoy, we join forces with a number of other states that are in there also selling those games so that when we pool all those funds together, we can create these big jackpots and these big winning experiences for folks. So we haven't had a Powerball winner in Kentucky for several years. We're still, I'm feeling it. It's got to come soon. We keep waiting for it. Every time we get a good run, I keep waiting for that phone call. Because
I'll be calling my kids when it gets up, and right now I think it's up to...
Well, it was up about 400 plus million a few weeks ago. It got hit in California, so it's back down, but Mega Millions is back up. Mega is back up over 150 million. So
yeah.
I keep a land, how a lot of people have gotten rid of the landlines in their homes. I've kept my landline literally waiting for the lottery calls, because if I'm sound asleep on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Saturday, or a Friday night, and the phone rings at about 11:15 when I'm sound asleep, I know what it is. I know we've got a jackpot winner, because as soon as we find out in Kentucky, they call me, then I start disseminating the information. So as much as it's kind of jarring to get woken from sleep like that, when you hear that phone ring, and you see what time it is, you know that you've just seen a new millionaire created. And that's awfully exciting.
Yeah, yeah. As I always tell when I call my children and say, the Powerball is up or Mega Millions is up, you need to take a ticket.
That's it.
And it's only, what, $2 to take a ticket?
$2 for Powerball, $1 for Mega Millions. So it's only $1 to be in the game with that. So it's a lot of, obviously I can't play either, but there were about 3 years there before I started working for the lottery where I could play. And it was just fun for $1 to think about what you could do.
Yeah.
And that, if I put my dollar down, I was definitely in the game. The odds were astronomically long. I mean, your odds of winning Powerball right now are 1 in 270 million. But somebody's going to win that thing.
That's what I tell my children. Well, somebody's got to win, so it might as well be you.
That's it. We like that.
And that was a motto.
That was one of our slogans.
Right.
And people remembered that one too. It really stuck.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, lottery has been around a lot of places for a long time. Other countries, of course, play as well.
Oh, sure. It's a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
You see a lot in Europe. The European nations do a lot through there. And really, it's on every continent. It's all the way down through, I've worked with folks from the Ivory Coast down in Nigeria on some programming before. I've worked with the European lotteries a lot on our Play Responsibly and Responsible Gambling programs. Work extensively with Canada. The Canadian lotteries are huge because the Canadian lotteries also run the casino entities in their area. So it would almost be like a Caesars that runs both the casino and your state lottery. So those are big, big operations. So they're really pretty much everywhere. China has a huge lottery system over there as well. So there's places all over the world that sell, and even though jurisdictions are very different, there are some consistent things that we can all learn from each other. And it's a very collegial industry in that we're all monopolies. So the folks from Indiana can't suddenly swim across the river one night and start selling Indiana tickets in Kentucky. That's against the law. Nor could we go over to Indiana to do that. So since we really don't work against each other, we all kind of work together, and we have really good working relationships with each other about what may work for you, what didn't work for you, sort of thing, that we can all share ideas about how to keep making funds for the good programs that we fund.
Yeah, yeah. And for example, when you play online, you cannot play on the internet unless you are, or you can't play our lottery unless you're a resident of Kentucky.
Resident of Kentucky, and you have to physically be in Kentucky. It's a principle called geolocation, where when you get on to the internet or log on to your cell phone to be able to work through, for example, if you're on your cell phone will ping out to 3 different cell towers to get that signal, and all 3 of those cell towers have to be physically located in Kentucky before you're able to play. The same for your IP address from your computer. It's got to be located in Kentucky for you to be able to play. That's the only way that you can do that. So we kind of fence off, if you will, around the state so that you've got to be a Kentucky resident and within our borders, and then you're good to go.
And you have to be over the age of 18.
18, exactly. That's a big deal for us with our Not 18, No Way, No Play program, to remind folks that, you know, you got to be over 18 to play. And we do a program every year at the holidays through a university up in Canada, McGill University, that has a very distinguished youth and gambling incidents resource center up there, where we partner with lotteries really all around the world just to remind parents, lottery tickets aren't good Christmas presents for kids. Swap them with the adults, have a lot of fun with them, and you know, a lot of people do them for holiday gifts, but if you've got little kids around the house, it's not the best thing to get to a kid that way. But in Kentucky, to buy a ticket, you are supposed to be over the age of 18.
Right, right. And you have to show proof of that. And,
sure.
And online, you have to...
Online, you have to register for an account. And so when you register, it's not as easy as signing up for an Amazon or a Netflix account to play our games for a number of reasons. Everything from age verification, as you talked about, to make sure that you're not money laundering or doing anything like that. So in order to get onto our platform, you have to register, we have to verify your identity, we have to verify several things about you to make sure that we know who you are before you're able to get in there and go. So there's a lot of checks and balances there to make sure that only people who are eligible to play are going to get on that site.
Yeah, yeah. So, and of course, we have a new executive director.
Yes, that's correct. New president and CEO.
New president, rather president and CEO.
Right.
Tom
De La Sensory. Been out with him actually the last several days doing media. He's third week on the job. So we've been out introducing him to TV stations and reporters and the like over the course of the last couple days to kind of get him acclimated to everybody. Comes to us from the Florida Lottery, where they sold $6 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars in tickets last year. He is a sales guy to his core. He has grown up in sales organizations. He's sold consumer products. He knows what motivates consumers. He knows how to sell items, and he is already 3 weeks into the job really pushing us to look at the things that we're doing, showing us ways to do it differently and better, and he's just a terrific guy to work with as well. So he's a great addition to our team. Had big shoes to fill through Arch Gleason, our president and CEO that we lost a year ago this week, which is hard to imagine.
I know,
it's been that
I was
long.
Thinking that
been
today.
a year this week. But Tom has really come in, and so far everybody's really taken to what he's offering with us, and we're looking forward to continue to working with him.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and it's exciting because we hope within the next 3 to 4 days, we are going to hit the $1 billion mark
We're that close.
of sales.
We're that close. We have never busted $1 billion in Kentucky. And back about 8 months ago, we decided this was going to be our year. We were somewhat close last year. It's amazing to think, Lisa, that we're as close. I mean, we are a rounding error away from it. We are so close right now. And it's really amazing to think that we're that close to it when we were somewhat close last year but didn't make it. But last year, we had $28 million in additional Powerball sales that we didn't have this year that relates directly back to that $1.6 billion jackpot that we had. So Powerball sale, we are down $28 million in Powerball sales from last year because we've not had a sustained jackpot. And yet, we're ahead of where we were last year, and we're this close to busting $1 billion. So go buy some tickets to help, responsibly, of course, to help us break that $1 billion. We're really excited to do that.
And with Mega Millions being at
a little over 150 right now. It rolled last night. Nobody won last night, so it has rolled again. So we've been promoting that very, very heavily to let folks know that for $1, you're in the running for that.
And see, and that's fabulous.
That's right.
And don't forget about all those other games that, those big scratch-off games, and then and now we've got Keno, which we didn't have before.
That's right. Keno's doing great. Keno sales are up because we've got a multiplier on that now, where for an extra $1, you can wager to multiply the prize that you're going to win. But folks like those games, but when you talk to people consistently, the big jackpots are what a lot of them like to play with. And just real quickly, let me tell you the story of this ticket right here. This is a story of a guy named Rob Anderson, worked in Georgetown, Kentucky. It's Christmas Eve. Rob hasn't done his Christmas shopping yet, so he does what every red-blooded American guy does. He gets in the car and drives to Walmart to do his Christmas shopping that night. So he's on the way to Walmart, and he thinks as he's getting gas in his truck, he'll stop and get 3 lottery tickets for stocking stuffers, one for himself, one for his wife, one for his adult kid that lives at home. So he goes into the retailer and says, I need 3 $1 Powerball plays. And the guy prints this ticket. On this ticket are 3 lines of numbers. Well, Rob wanted 3 tickets to put in the stockings. So the retailer hands him this ticket. Rob says, that's not what I needed. I wanted the 3 individual ones. The retailer says, do you want to keep this one? Rob says, yeah, I'll hang on to this one. Just give me the other 3. Gives him the other 3 tickets. Rob puts the 3 tickets in the stockings that night. Next morning, Christmas morning, everybody gets up, opens their presents. They see they've got Powerball tickets. The drawing's the next day. They get up the next morning, check tickets. Nobody won. Rob goes about his day. About lunchtime, he remembers, I had this one ticket back there. I forgot to check that one. Let me go check that one. On this ticket, the second line of numbers here hit for $128.6 million, the largest lottery jackpot ever won in Kentucky history on a ticket that was produced by mistake. Oh. And I love taking this ticket out and just showing people the complete random nature of literally $128.6 million falling out of the sky as it happened for Rob Anderson on Christmas Eve a couple years ago.
Wow.
Amazing. And we hear stories like this all the time. We deal with, my office in communications deals with all of our winners that come in, and everybody's got a story. They literally do, and it's up to us to try to find out what it is. And when you get the stories like the one that you got from Rob, they're really exciting.
Yeah. Well, and don't be like me when I used to be able to play and forget what you did with your ticket.
Yes.
And never check it. I could have been a winner because once, if you don't claim it within a year.
180 days. So
180 days.
Right,
6 months then.
You got to claim, that's right.
Then.
We get calls all the time from people who are convinced that they bought a ticket, that it hit, and they've just lost it. And to their credit, what we will do sometimes is if they can tell us about when they purchased a ticket or anything like that, we can go back to that retailer and look at the records for that terminal and see what numbers were produced, what tickets were produced around that time. We've never had a winner that way. So we'll always call them back and say, okay, we reconstructed your ticket. Here's what the numbers were, and you didn't win. We're sorry. But they're convinced that they've lost that ticket somehow or another. But even though we find that for them, those tickets, the ticket like this is legally what's called a bearer instrument, which means you have to be in possession of that and walk in our door and sign the back of it and fill out the claim process before we can award you a prize. So you got to hang on to these tickets. And one of the first things I ask people, Lisa, when they come in with a big winning ticket like this, especially if it's a Monday morning and the drawing was Saturday night, I ask them, where'd you keep the ticket? And that's some fascinating stories that you get from people. Freezers, pillows. I had a big dude tell me he kept it in his underwear one time. We put the ticket in one of these things, and nobody wanted to really touch it, But you get great stories about how they found out that they won, and what they did with the ticket when they found it. Because think about that. You've got a little 3x4 piece of paper that could be worth $128.6 million that you've got to take care of until you can get it to us. And that tends to make people a little nervous.
Yeah. And they have to come into headquarters to claim the
you got to come see us for something that big. We actually, any winner of $1 million or more, we actually have a debriefing program that we put them through. We're not going to give you a check for $1 million and push you out the door. We're going to try is the key word, to talk to you a little bit about the fact that it takes a team of people to manage a lot of money. If you don't have a will, man, do you need one now. If you don't have a tax attorney, you're going to need one. You need an investment counselor. And the thing, Lisa, that surprises a lot of people, and I only do this for our big Powerball winners, for the big prizes, when you bring the ticket in, it takes about 20 minutes to validate that it's a winning ticket. And so we have we call it the winner's room, where we keep them sequestered away from everybody, make them comfortable while we go through that process. When I get the green light that everything's good, I'll go in to congratulate them. And as I'm shaking hands with them, telling them, congratulations, this is the real deal, here we go, I'm pushing a telephone toward them with my other hand. I'm saying, now, we need to call the phone company and change your home phone number. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And they'll say, I've had that phone number for 30 years. I'm not about to change it. And I tell them, every car salesman, real estate agent, and securities broker in about an 8-state area is going to want to be your best friend right now. It's best for you to go underground for a little bit. So we counsel them about things like that before we turn them loose, because it truly is a game changer.
Yeah, yeah.
And the funny thing about it, I always thought, back when I could play, if I won, it would be the happiest, most exciting moment of my life when I came to lottery headquarters and turned in that ticket. It's not that. The overwhelming emotion of the people that I get to work with is fear. They're scared to death when they come in the office, because first off, they're waiting for us to tell us it's not true. You had the drawing for Wednesday, not the drawing for Saturday, sort of thing. They're waiting for us to tell us that.
Yeah.
And then they're nervous, because you literally are watching their life change right in front of them. The first time I'll see them smile to a person, and the first time we really start to they're really into it, there's something about that 4-foot-long check. And I figured this out after a while. I keep it hidden from them now, so that we get that moment during the news conference. So they don't see it until they're on camera with everybody, and then we pull that 4-foot-long check out with their name and all those zeros on the end of it. And that's the golden moment. That's the smile. That's when you really first start to see that, okay, this is real and this is going to be fun, and you really see them start to enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to work with those folks. I really do enjoy it.
Well, and of course, they probably don't realize at first too that there's going to be taxes taken out of that.
Sure.
And we appreciate that, because that's going to go help our state as well.
Right. 31% is what folks don't realize. So it's 25% federal, 6% state is what we withhold. We tell people, get some tax advice. You know, no offense to the folks at H&R Block, but if you win a $100 million Powerball jackpot, you don't want to go to the H&R Block down at the corner grocery store to get your taxes done that year. You need people who are experts at this sort of thing to make sure that you're taken care of. That 31% should cover you, but we don't know what anybody's particular tax situation is. You need an expert. But 31% is what we typically will withhold.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a good problem to have.
It is.
That's what I tell people. They can complain about it, but when you come to me and we withhold that, you're still going to be happy with what you get, I promise.
Right. And then, of course, at headquarters in Louisville, you have the midday drawings.
That's correct. And we invite people to come down and be a part of that.
Yeah.
A lot of folks don't realize that. If you've ever wanted to come see what we do, it's open to the public. And we actually built our studio in Louisville to show people so that they could come in and see what actually goes into our midday and our evening drawings. That 60-second drawing takes about 45 minutes to put together. There are a lot of moving parts to it. We do test drawings, we weigh the balls, we do a number of different things through there. This is a set of retired lottery balls. We retire these about once every year and a half, because they have to weigh within 2/100ths of a gram of each other. And after they bounce around in those machines for a while, they start to be off weight a little bit, and then we have to retire them and replace them with new ones. But they look just like, you know, a regular ping pong ball, but they're very far from that. It takes about 3 days to make each one of these. They're milled down to be the exact same diameter and be the exact same weight. And that's why we weigh them, again, to make sure that everything weighs out, because in theory, if one ball was heavier than another one, it may stay at the bottom of the chamber, If one ball was lighter than all the other ones, it may rise to the top of the chamber faster, and we want all those numbers to have the exact same chances of being drawn. So if you're ever in Louisville, our offices are down on Main Street, you ever want to sit in on a drawing, we encourage the public to come by and check it out. It's a good story to let them see, and we'd like for you to see how we create winners every day.
Well, it's very technical work on making sure that all of this is done properly.
It is.
And people don't realize, I mean, it's very scientific.
Yes, yes. And there's checks and balances everywhere.
Right.
As soon as you want, our drawing studio is not much bigger than this room, but it's covered by 15 surveillance cameras that record 24/7, dual redundant, which means there's 2 going at all times that store video for 365 days. So we could go back and see something that happened in the draw studio last October and pull it up just like that. Tremendous amount of security built around there so that not one person can ever be alone with the lottery balls. In order to get access to the safe where these are kept, it takes a lottery personnel. There's only 4 people from the lottery who are authorized to do it, as well as somebody from our external audit firm, Blue & Company, that also has a key. Neither one of them can get into the ball safe by themselves. They have to be together in order to open both the locks that are on the safe, therefore keeping one person, eliminating a situation where somebody could be alone with these and attempt to tamper with them.
Yeah.
There's layer after layer after layer of security. And the reason is really clear. If people don't think they can win, they're not going to play.
Right.
And if somebody thinks that there's a fix-in or that there's something going on with this, if they lose confidence in us, if they lose trust in us to be able to do an up-and-up drawing, they're not going to buy tickets. So it's incumbent on us to let them know that if you're in Paducah or you're in Pikeville, you got the exact same odds of winning because the drawings are done in a good fashion.
Right.
But
right.
we'd love folks to come see us with it.
Yeah. So they can come on Mondays.
They come in, we do them 7 days a week. 7 days a
Oh,
week.
it's 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Okay.
We do them. Our midday drawing starts about 12:45 in the afternoon. That's usually more popular because it's a better time to be out and around. Our evening drawing starts at 9:30 because we do several other drawings. That drawing doesn't actually occur till 10. So the evening drawing process is about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. The midday draw process, because we just do our pick 3, pick 4 games, that's 45 minutes. And when somebody comes in and we show them around there, we can also show them around our warehouse, show them how tickets are distributed. One of the biggest questions and complaints I get from people is, why don't you send winners to my town? Well, we don't send winners to particular, we send winners everywhere. It's a matter of where the tickets land, and we show people how the tickets are randomly selected to go to a retailer. When somebody packs the order of tickets, they don't know where it's going when they pack the order of tickets, and that's done on purpose because we don't know where the winners are. Plus, when they're randomly picking them, they don't know where those tickets are going to go. So there's a lot of layers built into that we're proud of, so we like to share the story with people and encourage people to come by and see it.
Yeah. So anyone in Kentucky, wherever they are, or in the country, can get a ticket, a Powerball in several different states, or Mega Millions. And so I'm going to encourage everyone, or they can get one of those big $20
the big
or
money
10
was
the big money
big one, but break the bank. Big money sold out in 3 weeks. We thought we
Okay.
had enough for 6 months. We sold it out in 3 weeks. People were lined up at retailers the morning that the ticket went on sale to buy it. They were so excited about it. We'd literally never seen anything like it since first day of sales. Sold through that one. Break the Bank is the new big ticket that's out there going like wild as well.
And those are $10 or 20? How?
Those are tens.
Tens.
Those are tens. Yeah,
$10
we wanted to
ones.
keep those
Yeah.
a little more reasonably priced and off the top end of the spectrum. A lot of mid-tier winners in there, and just a lot of excitement about that big ticket. Folks really, really did like it, and still like the one that we have back out now.
Yeah, and you can just get a $1 ticket or anywhere up to $10.
You can make a 50-cent wager on our pick 3 and pick 4 games. So I mean, you know, it's whatever you're comfortable with. Folks just enjoy the time spent thinking what could happen if. And
Right.
there's a lot of different entry points for you to be able to do that.
Yeah. So get a ticket, because it might as well be you.
Be you. That's right.
And we want to get to that $1 billion mark
Yes, we do. We
of
do.
sales for this year.
That's right. And, you know, the more money we make, the more money we have to send kids to college in Kentucky. Again, something we're very, very proud of, and we're awfully happy about the impact we've been able to make not only in Washington County, but in all 119 other counties as well. $2.8 billion to send kids to college. It's an amazing
Wow.
number.
That's great.
We're happy about it. Thank
I'm
you.
very happy about the Kentucky Lottery, and I want to thank you for being here today,
We're glad to
Chip.
have you in the family. We're glad to
Yeah.
have you on our board. You've been a lot of fun to work with since you've been there, and it's. I hope you found the time to be well spent also. I'm awfully proud of the organization. I think we do a really good job, and we want to invite folks again down to come check it out yourself if you'd ever like to see how it operates.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.